Michael Breed is here in our booth. So good to have you in here.
It's always good to be with you, and I appreciate your hard work that you put in for the Teaching Coaching Summit. I had so many people come up to me. They heard you 2 years ago. They were hoping to hear you again, and you did a great job, so thank you.
Well, you set me on a tee just perfectly, and I'm going to tell you why. 2 years ago, they had me as the first speaker on the second morning.
Yep.
So we'll just say that people were moving slow the next morning. So right before I went on stage last time, some guy walked up and goes, "Hey, would you like some Cuban coffee?" Have you ever had Cuban coffee?
No, I've not had coffee.
Imagine espresso condensed and optimized. So I went out there like, whoa, yes. All right. This time you got them when they're all coming back and they're filled with all this information. Now it's like, what do we do with it?
Yeah.
So you set me up perfect. Thank you.
And you did a great job. And the energy and the passion that you brought was exactly what we needed. And you know what was cool was at the end when they stood up and gave everybody a standing ovation. They applauded the committee, but what they were really applauding was the speakers. And you obviously were an integral part of that. So I appreciate it.
It is hard, very hard to put on a convention like that.
Well, you know what I did, and you know this because of all the studies, I've read a lot about leadership. What I did was I found people that were really good in these different areas, and then I let them do what they're doing. Yeah. So all I did was just organize the team, let them go out there. They assembled the group to come in and talk, 46 speakers. It was phenomenal. So thank you.
5 years ago, I stood in the Titleist booth and watched you give a talk. And I always say 7 years ago, Missy and I came through, did no anyone know us here? And I sat there and I was watching. I was like, "That's fascinating to be able to be at that kind of influencer." Are you? I don't know what the word is. Are you humbled? I know you're humbled, but are you honored by the role that you have in this game?
You know what? I'm grateful. I'm respectful of it, and I also am well aware that I didn't get here because of me. Right? There are people. My wife allows me to do what I do. You talk about Missy, right? You're traveling a lot. You get to do what you get to do, right? So I get out and I get to listen to a Mark Blackburn or Scott Hamilton or John Tillery or Butch Harmon, Pete Cowan, all these people, right? And I get to hear what they have to say, and they're so gracious that they invite me in and they allow me to know what they know. And all I have to do two things. I have to listen, and I have to remember. Well, the listening part I can do. The remembering part allows me to go, because I'm going to forget, allows me to go back to them. And so all I then have to do is just be respectful. And so I remember that all the time. There's this one thing that sits in my mind, and it is, don't be upset that you got what you asked for. So I know a lot of people that are parents that dream of the day of being a parent, and they want to raise a child, and they want to have something that they can pass along to. And then when they get it, they treat their kids terribly, and they complain about their kids being kids. And I always try to tell them, you got what you wanted. How can you possibly be upset that you got what you wanted? So I'm walking these halls, right? People are stopping me left and right, honestly.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine.
And they stop me and they go, "Hey, Michael, thank you for this." And I had a guy who's in the Czech Republic, and he goes, "Thank you." And I have a guy who's in Mexico City, and he goes, "You motivated me to be a coach." And what you realize is that the show's on in 85 different countries, and there are people all over the place that you have no idea who you're affecting. And all I did was I was passionate about teaching, and they watched, and they go, "You changed my career path." And it happens to me all over the place. So now I'm walking, somebody stops me, and what do I have to do now? I have to do the exact same thing that I do with Butch and Pete in this. I've got to be respectful, which I'm going to be. I've got to listen, which I'm going to do. And I've got to remember, which I'm going to do my best to do. And it's a gift. I got what I wanted. I wanted to be.
Did you want to do this when you started out in the field?
I'll tell you this. I've always wanted to help people. Mm-hmm. That's why I did what I do. That's why you 100%. Do what you do, right? We want to help people. We want to help people get better. And so you don't know what I want to help people means. But what you do know is when you're helping somebody. Mm-hmm. And when somebody comes up to you and they have this smile on their face and they go, "Man, you helped me find my passion because I loved watching you do what you do." Wow. Right? So as we go on this journey through life and we interact with these people, man, what do we want? I got to tell you this story. This comes to my head. I used to go to this church in Portchester, New York. And there was a guy there, Monsignor Peter Gelsomino. And Monsignor...
He's from Georgia? No, I'm just kidding.
He's from New York.
Yeah, exactly.
But let me tell you about this guy. He was fluent. He's passed away now. He was fluent in Russian, German, Spanish, Polish,
Jeez.
Latin, to name a few. He was 12 different languages he spoke fluently. And one day he said to me, and it was really not me, it was us, but this is the way he presented. You felt like he was talking to you, right? And he said, if you ever get to that point where you're looking into yourself and you're wondering why you didn't get this and why you didn't get that and I'm not happy and all that stuff, he said, what I want you to do is I want you to realize that the solve to all this is not figuring out how to help you. It's figuring out how to help others. And when you start to help others, you're going to feel much, much better about yourself. And all those little problems that you were wondering about are all going to go away. And it stuck with me. And so that mentality plus married with the passion of what I want to do, which is I want to help people play golf and I want to help people. I don't want to wear a jacket and tie. I want to wear what we're wearing. Mm-hmm. That whole thing, all of a sudden now, it just blossoms. And so I do feel like I've got an awesome responsibility, but not awesome like heavy, awesome like amazing, because I get to help grow the game of golf. I get to help people find their passion, find their career path. And I'll tell you something else, and we may have said this, I may have talked to you about this before, but I had this uncle of mine who was a really bright guy. And he, at a time when I'm 17, 18 years of age, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with my future, and I'm not a great student. I've got ADD, I've got dyslexia, I've got these things, and my grades are not supporting my effort, and I'm wondering what's wrong with me. And this guy says to me, my uncle, he goes, listen, Michael, the only thing that you got to do is find what you're passionate about and then go be the very best you can possibly be. And he said, I don't care if you want to be a janitor, you go and you have the cleanest hallways, the shiniest toilets, the most immaculate sinks and garbage cans in every single bathroom, and make sure every hallway is perfect, and you're going to be fine because you're going to be doing what you love to do, and you will be paid handsomely. And I thought, here goes the veil. Here goes the curtain.
What gave you what was the empowering statement there? Is that with dyslexia and things, everything was a challenge, and for the first time somebody said it's all possible?
It was this idea, when you go through that time in your life, you're 17, 18 years of age, and you look at what we do is we go to school. We basically become professional school goers. And when you're going to school and you keep getting back a C or a C plus, and people are saying to you all the time, and what they're saying to you as teachers is, you're not smart enough. And now you go, well, I need to be smart to be successful. And if I'm not smart enough, how can I possibly be successful? And then somebody says, well, you can be successful, but there's another way to be successful. You can be, maybe you're not smart in that, but if you find what you're passionate about and you try to be the best, then you'll be smart in that field. And it opens up the opportunity that all I needed to find was not intelligence, but passion. Because passion is going to lead me to my intelligence, and my intelligence is going to be fostered by hard work in a field that I want to do. And so it was at that point that I went, all right, so now all I needed to do was find the thing I'm passionate about. And you know what it is? To me, it was like marriage. All I needed to find was the one woman that I'm passionate about. And when I find that, I'm going to have success. And I've been fortunate enough to find both.
Do you look at young instructors and look at it right now, they have the greatest opportunity or they have the greatest challenge?
They have the greatest opportunity. And they have the greatest opportunity because we know way more about golf swinging and functional golf motion than we've ever known in our life. The advancement of technology, and I'm not just talking about the cell phone, I'm talking about everything. The advancement of technology. You look around this floor and you see all these great everythings, because everybody's really good now. There's no bad. Everybody's really good. So we know a lot. We understand how to present it much better. There are all these opportunities and ways to present it much better. You don't have to stand in line and wait for Golf Channel to call you up, right? We are now the content providers, as opposed to Golf Channel being the content provider, or NBC or ABC or CBS.
I had a conversation with a young coach, and they were talking about the top 100. And you and I have had a conversation about this, and I said, if you want more of a platform, you have it in your pocket. If you create content that is relevant, impactful, and concise, with your personality, you will find an audience. But if you don't do that and you're waiting on the phone to ring, 10 people are going to find it before you.
Well, and then the other thing, too, is that if you don't do that, you then need somebody to grow your brand.
Right.
If you're unable to or unaware of how to do it, you need somebody to grow your brand. So I was fortunate. Golf Channel helped grow my brand. But the truth of the matter is that Mark Crossfield has done a better job growing his brand. And Joe Mayo has done a great job growing his brand, because they understand how to use social media to their advantage.
Yeah, I had me and my golf guys on the other day.
They did, and other people.
Brilliant, right?
Absolutely.
And I asked them a question. I said, do you study your content? They're like, all the time. Do you study the formula? Absolutely. Like our good friend John Gordon.
Absolutely.
He's on point all the time. You know inherently. It's not intuitive. He's studying what resonates, and it matches his beliefs, so it's a perfect scenario.
It's essential,
it's
it's opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? So you look at a guy like, think about the people that are these big, huge brands in your field, right? And 20 years ago, Zig Ziglar got there because Zig Ziglar was speaking on television and doing all these other things, and then doing these Tony Robbins.
By the way, in 5th grade, I saw Zig Ziglar came to my middle school.
Of course.
In 1982.
So you get to where you see all these. There's tremendous opportunity right now.
Absolutely.
And when I do my quote-unquote mentoring with people that are doing what I'm doing, what I tell them all the time is, you have it so much easier than I had it, because I had to stand in line. I had to be creative to try to get Golf Channel to go, hey, this guy might be a guy.
How did that happen?
I was just really lucky.
No.
No, I'm telling you, I was really lucky. What I did was I just pursued this idea of trying to get
Oh, wait. I want that word.
Pursuit.
Yeah.
It's such an important thing. I have my own thing. I call it motion with direction. And what I do is I look at where I want to be. That's my direction, like my spot. And then I have this motion. We all have motion. You watch these people. Everybody's moving around. They're doing something. Are they moving like a bumblebee, or are they moving in a flat line like a jet? I want to move like a jet. I want to have a destination to where I'm going. I want to know how I'm going to get there. And so when I start looking at the game of golf, 10% of the people that are playing the game of golf take a golf lesson. And I start looking at content on television, and I start doing all that stuff, and I go, it can be done better, and I can do it better, and there's opportunity to do it better. And so I come up with this idea of reaching out to cable carriers in the state of Connecticut, and I'm going to take my instructional show, and I'm going to sell it into all these places, and I do all my math, and I'm going to shoot 12 shows. I'm going to pay everybody handsomely, and I'm going to make $7 million. And I go, this is what I'm going to do. Obviously, it wasn't as easy as telling the story, but I made this pilot. And
this is what I want anyone listening to this to understand. This wasn't like Golf Channel goes, hey, we need an instructor. There's a dude in New York and a lot of energy and can communicate. Let's call him.
Right.
Right?
I go, I get great fortune. I shoot this pilot. I also worked at Augusta National, which was a big help.
Yeah.
And I met a guy who I coached who, when I coached him, got really good really fast. And he said, I went to school with a guy that's involved with Golf Channel. You ought to go on this show. So I go down to this show to do during Masters because it's a perfect tie-in. Golf Academy Live. They cancel it. It was a 2-day show back then. They canceled the show, and they have a viewers forum, and they put me on viewers forum. And during viewers forum, I do what I do. Now, I'm nervous, just like anything else, but that's a good thing. I've always looked at nervousness as a great thing. I'm never nervous when I'm shooting 104, but I'm nervous when I'm 8 under par standing on the 12th tee. So I'm nervous because good things are happening. And so I'm in nervous town, and I go, okay, what do you have to do when you're in nervous town? Just like you tell people when they get nervous, you got to be aggressive. You got to make sure that you still keep that mindset, because that's the mindset that got you to where you are. And so now I go and I make a statement. And the statement that I make is, and this is in 1999, I make a statement. A European is going to win the Masters. They had just introduced the first cut of rough. And I said, a European's going to win the Masters. And Olazabal goes out and wins the Masters. And now I become a genius. So I go from a nobody to a genius in 5 days. Literally Tuesday to Sunday.
You're the prognosticator now.
And now it's good for Golf Channel.
I'm trying to do the math. When was that?
1999.
1999. Wow.
1999. But what was interesting was, and what it didn't dawn on me until a while later was, I thought this looked good for me. It actually looks good for Golf Channel, because Golf Channel got somebody on who said a European's going to win. And so then they blow that up. Michael, how'd you know? Now they want me. Now
you have currency.
I was lucky. So that's what I mean when I was lucky.
Yeah.
But I was prepared. I'd done my thinking. I'd done my work. And then just like you tell people in the mind side, right? I got to make sure I stick to the plan. So what's the plan? I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be me. I'm going to say what I want to say. And I'm not going to harm anybody, but I'm going to tell it like what I think it is. Because what happens at the end of it? At the end of it, he doesn't win. So what happens? Nobody's going to tackle me. They're just going to go, well, you were wrong. Well, I've been wrong a lot. I'm going to be wrong today. I know I'm going to be wrong today. And I'm probably going to follow that up with being wrong tomorrow. So I'm wrong. Okay, no big deal. But when you're right, and you go out there and you stay aggressive in your mind, all of a sudden now it happens. So they asked me to do some stuff for them, and the Monarch notes are, I hand them this pilot that we did when they start asking for shows, and 6 short years later, after handing that pilot to them, they go, we need a coach, and we want you to be our coach.
6 years later.
Overnight success.
Yes, that's what's so brilliant. Is in the first podcast we did, you talked about some of the struggles and the challenges and what grounds you as a person and all those other factors that resonated so well. I get so many comments about, because when you're in the role that you're in, you're not only a shining light for many of the people in your field, but you're also a reminder of what they need to do to be better. And sometimes that comes with envy,
you bet,
resistance, condensation, people knocking you down.
Yeah.
How do you handle all that?
I worry about here's what I worry about.
Yeah.
I worry about what my wife thinks about me.
Yeah.
I worry about what my sons think about me. And then I worry about what my belief system thinks about me. So I've always had this thought when I look in the mirror, and I've been graced with some wisdom. And one of the things that I've been wise to is, if I was doing something, would my mother look favorably upon me, and would my Lord look favorably upon me? And if I don't go 2 for 2, then I don't do it. It's a really simple thing for me. Never want to embarrass her, and I never want to embarrass my Lord.
Maker, yeah.
That's it. So that's the way I try to go through my life. What I also know is that not everybody likes chocolate chip ice cream. Somebody likes mint chocolate chip. Somebody likes chocolate. That's why Baskin-Robbins has 31 flavors, because maybe there's 30 they don't like. So somebody's not going to like me. Okay, I'm okay with it.
As long as I'm in the conversation, right?
Well, I don't even think about that.
No, but I mean,
you know what I think? Honestly, what I think about is was I true to myself?
Yeah.
Did I give my all? Was I passionate? Okay, so that's what I do. And you know what? If you don't like me, you don't like me. If I harmed you and you don't like me, you have every right to do so. If you don't like me because you don't like the way I did something on television, whatever, you don't know me.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it.
You know, it's funny. I talked to some media people for a while, and I've always been fascinated by it. And you know, early on it was like, you got to be controversial. You got to be. And I said, that's not me. If that means it's not work for me and I'm not right, I just can't do it. I'm not a controversial guy. I give everything I have to people. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And I follow much the same way. And so a couple years later, these people called back and they said, I said, you don't want me to be controversial and to shock people when they call or to do, you know, Dr. McCabe on the street. It doesn't work. That's stupid. Okay. But I did say, I said, I can be invested in people. And that's how I've always looked is a lot like you. Like when I went and the investment you made in me was massive. And I thank you for that, sincerely.
You're very welcome.
No,
but the truth of the matter is that when I saw you, I went, honestly, selfishly,
yeah.
I want to know that guy.
Right.
Because I know, as you do, right, I had this conversation. I hosted a thing with Mark Blackburn and Scott Hamilton.
Who's right here.
And we talked about.
I can't get him on the podcast. We live 5 minutes apart.
He doesn't do anything unless he gets paid.
Well, that, and I need subtitles.
Subtitles.
Yeah, and he needs subtitles. And Jason Glass. Oh, look at that. It's a who's who.
So, but here's my point. Is when I saw you,
Yeah.
I knew what I knew, but I was selfish. I want to know that guy because that guy can help me get better. So I gave you an opportunity, but there's a lot of people that have done that haven't walked through a door. You walked through the door, and you've done great with it, and you help people. That's what you do because you care, because you're passionate.
Well,
so
thank you. Thank you again for everything.
Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding?
Let's see what 2019 creates here.
I can't wait.
You got it, man.
I can't
Thanks.
wait. I can't wait
Love
for
you,
your
man.
next birth.
Thanks.
My
book.
by the way.
Birth. No.
Birth
no
of a
more
new
births.
book.
No more births in the mind's eye.
I want the birth of a new book.
Yes.
That's what I want.
New book is coming probably in August. You'll get an advanced
Is that
copy.
right?
Yes.
All right.
It's
I
called,
knew
you ready for this?
Yeah.
Stuck in Suckville. Ways to break free of your life. We're all stuck in Suckville, right?
I call it negative town, but I'm with you.
Yeah, Suckville is the space between what we perceive as our reality, what's our reality, and what we believe our potential is. And that space in between is what I call Suckville. Because when you're there, you're so focused on your potential, you fail to appreciate and be grateful of your reality.
I can't wait
It's coming.
to read that book.
It's coming.
I've enjoyed them all,
You
and
got
I
it,
always
man.
enjoy
Thank you.
our time. Thank you so
man.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.